Hey everybody, this is John with Murder by the Book coming to you with another live virtual event from my living room. We're going to give everybody just a few minutes to be able to come find us from Facebook and YouTube. So until we get some viewers here, I will just vamp for, oh, there we go. People are popping in. So hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us this evening. As I said, this is John with Murder by the Book, and we are excited tonight to be doing a virtual event with Ellery Adams. She's put together a really great program of some book-related trivia. So if you guys are tuning in, you might want to grab a pen or a pencil so you can write down your answers to the questions. I will also be, part of it's going to be a slideshow. The questions that she's actually reading, I will be posting in the comments as well, so you'll be able to view those too. She's going to be giving away 2 copies of Ink and Shadows, which is the new book, and then she'll also be giving away with those 2 Murder by the Book tote bags. We have our Nancy Drew, Everything I Know I Learned from Nancy Drew, and our famous detectives Holmes, Watson, Marple, and Poirot. So we will get started in just a second. Also wanted to mention that if you see any random links pop up that say, hey, if you want to watch this event, click on this link and give us your credit card. Don't do that. You're already watching the event. You don't need to give anybody your credit card. So just wanted to throw that out there. If you guys don't know, I am John. I am the event coordinator here at Murder by the Book in Houston. I'm also our resident cozy reader, and I'm super excited tonight to be chatting with Ellery Adams about her newest book, Ink and Shadows. So I'm going to go ahead and bring her out. Hello.
Hello.
How are you this evening?
I'm good. We actually had sun here in North Carolina today, so I'm in a better mood than usual.
We are about to get some rain and get down into the 30s, which is really cold for us over the weekend. So not looking forward to that. Thank you so much for doing this with this evening. I was thinking earlier, you were able to sign actually at the store in 2020 with Dean, weren't you?
Yes, and I was really, really hoping to be back again this year. I loved Houston. That was my first visit. And of course, I love the store. And you guys have amazing fans and cozy readers. And I'm still, talking to a bunch of people that I met during that event on Facebook, that's pretty amazing. But all cozy readers are amazing anyway.
They are. One of the kind of upsides to the pandemic, which is a weird thing to say, is because we've figured out how to do these virtual events and we've been doing them, we've been able to feature and really do a lot more with a lot more cozy authors than we would have in the past. Touring is always hard, especially if the books come out in paperback. It's hard budget-wise and stuff like that. So it's been really nice to be able to bring cozy readers, authors like this. So we're really excited to see how we can still do some stuff like that kind of once we're able to do in-store stuff again as well. So to get us started tonight, everybody is tuning in. If you are not familiar with Ellery Adams, she is the New York Times bestselling author of 2 cookbooks and over 30 mysteries, including the Book Retreat Mysteries, the Secret Book and Scone Society series, the Books by the Bay Mysteries, and the Charmed Pie Shoppe Mysteries. A native New Yorker, she's had a lifelong affair with stories, food, rescue animals, and large bodies of water. When not working on her next novel, she reads, bakes, gardens, spoils her 3 cats, and rearranges her bookshelves. She lives with her husband and 2 children in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. For more information and a list of bibliotherapy suggestions, you can visit her at elleryadamsmysteries.com or yourbookrx.com. All those links are also on the Murder by the Book website. As I mentioned, tonight she is here to talk with us about Ink and Shadows, which is the 4th book in the Secret Book and Scone Society series. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that about the series and the new book before we get into the trivia?
Sure. So this book takes place kind of around Halloween, and as you guys who have been reading the series know, I love to come up with these crazy window displays this is like my fantasy bookshop. In my other life, I would have a bookshop and I would love to arrange the window displays all the time because that's all book selling is, right, John? Is, putting really cute displays together and having all these wonderful customers come in and matchmaking them with books. Mm-hmm. And I was really kind of been thinking, I don't even know what spurred this on, but it was probably something that happened on social media where I started thinking to myself, women can be women's worst enemies. We can really bolster one another up, or we can really tear each other down. And I kind of wanted to play on that in this book and have this window display of books that show powerful women, and then have a group of women who decide that those books are not okay. And this would be the kinds of groups that are around the country trying to ban books. And I have a real issue with banning books and any kind of censorship of reading. I think everybody should be free to read, and they should be free to read whatever subjects they want to read. You know, school is a totally different situation, but these are adult books that were in an adult bookstore. So different situations. So I kind of, that was where the conflict is coming from. And, you know, because, you know, my books, I can't just have one plot. There have to be several subplots. So Nora's relationship with Jed has got a little bit of conflict. And I just want to assure you, because somebody asked me this, no, I'm not starting a love triangle. You know, I'm anti-love triangle. It's not going to happen. So it'll work out with Jed or it won't. You'll have to read it to see. And Murder by the Book actually has signed book plates. So if you want to get one of those, that's actually a schmancy name tag. I couldn't find any actual book plates. Every book plate says from the library of, and I thought if it says from the library of Ellery Adams, that doesn't do you any good. So as usual, there's a ton of bibliotherapy in this from different topics. And one of the ones I really wanted to consider was books that you can read to people who are having vision impairments or vision loss, because my mother-in-law is now legally blind and can't drive anymore. So kind of researching books like that and listening to books and how much audiobooks have changed things for people who have vision impairments. All that stuff is into it too. So other than that, it's the usual tons of food, tons of mayhem. Sheldon is up to his usual hugs / snarkiness. And even though it is kind of branded as a witch mystery or a cult mystery, there is no magic in the book. There are no witches in the book. It just happens to be books that some of the women have magical powers, like Circe. But it is not a witch mystery. So just had to put that out there.
Yeah. So do you recommend that people, if people are new to the series, do you recommend that they can jump in with this one, or do you think that they should go back and start with the first one in the series?
I mean, it's kind of a preference issue. I mean, all of my books in this series are written as standalones. You can just pick it up and you won't be lost. If it were me, I'd probably start at the beginning, but I'm a series reader. I like to start at the beginning, but sometimes I've discovered a series in the middle and then gone back to the beginning. So you're free to do whatever you choose. It'll work either way. It's just kind of how you are as a reader.
Okay. Awesome. So everybody who is watching, like I said, Ellery has put together some really great Valentine's Day themed book trivia. So we're going to get to that. I have posted the email address. So make sure you're writing down your answers. When the event ends tonight, you've got 15 minutes to submit your question or your answers to elleryadamsauthor@gmail.com. She'll pick 2 winners, and we'll be in touch in the next couple of days to get the books and tote bags out to winners. But I also wanted to mention, since this is trivia and everybody is playing along, don't post your answers in the comments. I mean, you can, but then you're basically just giving it away for everybody.
Right.
Don't post your answers in the comments. When we actually get to the ones that she's reading, I'll be posting them on the screen, so you'll be able to actually see them as we're reading them. And I also wanted to mention, like she said, we have book plates. And if you have any just general questions about the series, other series that Ellery's written, books in general, you can also post all of those in the comments, because once we're done with trivia and chatting, we will leave some time to get to all of that. So are you ready to get to some trivia?
I'm ready.
All right. Okay. So we are going to do this is the Under the Covers with These Literary Couples. So we're going to show everybody a series of images, and she's going to give you guys some hints. So basically you're going to be writing down the books that these refer to. So let me get my screen ready to share.
Yeah, so we're starting off kind of with the hard stuff. So don't feel bad if you don't get these right away, because it's really not even a full book cover, because that would be too easy. So it's just a part of a book cover. So it's all genres. It's not just mystery. I just want to throw that out there. And I'll give you little hints as we go along for most of them. Some of them I think are maybe too obvious for hints. But keep in mind, so all genres, and it's, you know, of course, books have so many different covers, and you might not recognize this one, so I hope you do. But
All right.
I did try to add some mystery. There we go. So what you'll do is you'll look at this snippet of a book cover, this little screenshot part, and think, okay, what are those symbols, and what book with a very well-known couple, romantic couple, is that book cover from? So, and by literary couples, we can also include literary couples who shouldn't be together, who are destructive together, who are positive together. So it's kind of like the whole range of coupledom. So hopefully, you know, let us know if you're confused about the format, but otherwise I think that's probably good for number one. Pay close attention to the images. So in number two, you know, we've kind of got a vibe here with the guy with the shadow and maybe the historical period. So think about that. This is, I'll give you a hint, not a romance novel.
And I'm also going to mention, oops, I'm going to throw in the again, don't put your answers in the comments. Write your answers down so you can email them to us. So don't put your answers in the comments.
Right, so you have plenty of time to kind of write them on a piece of paper and then email them to me later. And then I'll look at all the answers from my email. And if you have any issues with the email, you can always reach out to me on Facebook, and I'll check that tonight, just make sure everybody was cool with their answers. All righty, ready for three? So for those of you who know me or have read any of my books, I tend to mention this classic a ridiculous amount of time because it is in one of my top 10 favorite books of all time. And note the shapes behind this couple's heads, because that kind of gives away the dramatic scene in this classic novel. So he should look a little older. If I was doing the book art, he'd look a little older. Just saying. All right, let's move on to 4. So take a close look at the symbols inside the coffins, and I think that'll help you out. This gets filed under our couples who didn't do so well together category. All right, let's go to 5. They're so cute. I know there are a couple of you that have cats with these names, or dogs, or birds. And there are tons and tons of book covers of that of this couple, so that was kind of tough. But you'll see them in the Acorn catalog every time.
Mm-hmm.
Alrighty, let's go on. And this one is going to be super tough if you don't read any young adult at all. This is a little bit of a heartbreaking novel. It's extremely, extremely beautifully written. And the author shares a first name with our fabulous mediator. All right, let's move on. So this is a tough one. Let's see, let's think war. Let's think, take a close look at the colors of that sash and the color of the flower on the letter. I better stop there. I'm going to give you too many hints. All right, let's go on to the next one. And contrary to what this looks like, this is not a threesome novel. So just focus on the folks on the right. And actually, I shouldn't say novel. That's actually not the right format for this story. So it's not a threesome play. Let's put it that way. Okay, let's go to 9.
This is one of my all-time favorites.
Yeah, me too. And it was really hard to find a cover that didn't show tons of words.
Yeah.
So hopefully this gives you the atmosphere. I will tell you, it is not Death on the Nile, though I'm really excited for that movie to come out. Because that's my favorite Agatha Christie, so I'm hoping, Kenneth Branagh, you did this one right. It's super important. All right, I know you guys are gonna know 9, so 10, we're going back to classics for 10. Pay attention to the lady in the background for this one. And this is, totally inappropriate coupledom in this classic novel. Totally creepy. But, we got to have those. Okay, and 11. This is actually from the movie adaptation cover, which I normally despise and never use. But look at these guys. I mean, I had to use this. All right, let's move on to 12. Okay, again, not a classic novel here. And this picture is kind of mean, but just consider what you're looking at here, and I think you'll get it. And you guys can reach out if you think our speed is like too fast or too slow or whatever, just let us know. We'll adjust. All right, let's go to 13. Okay, we're going back to mysteries here with this one. So just take a look at the cool car, where the setting is, mystery. Hopefully that'll give you enough clues. All right, let's go to 14. And my hint on this one is this is one of my North Carolina sisters in crime. She's a wonderful human being. She's amazing. Writes amazing works. And we don't live too far apart, but we never run into each other. Though I do run into Jeffrey Deaver every now and then at the grocery store. And I always look terrible, and he always looks great. He's always in like a button down and slacks, and I'm in like yoga pants, no makeup. Though these days with the mask, it doesn't matter so much. Like maybe a shirt that has a bunch of stains on it, cat hair, and I'm like, oh, hey, Jeff. All right, and last one.
Also a favorite of mine.
Oh, yeah, this is a good one. And again, think about the setting here, what country this is probably in, what time period. I have to say, I don't remember what this actress's name is, but I feel like I have seen her in every show that has come out of Britain in the last 3 years, right? Like,
yeah.
I think she's in the Durrells and I don't know, like every other show. She's great, but I'm just like, okay, you've got to have some other actresses over there, right?
Right.
So guys, that's the slideshow segment. So if you have any questions about those ones that passed by, let us know. And otherwise, we'll launch into the literary lovebird questions. So there are a total of 15 of these as well. And I'll just read them out loud. And you don't have to write last names for these. If you know the character, but you don't know the character's last name, we're not that mean. We're not going to whip out the red pen, and you're not going to get half credit. Somebody always asks me about like partial credit for these things, which cracks me up because it reminds me of being a teacher. Like, can we have half if we get half the name right? Don't worry about it. You only need half the name here, and spelling doesn't count.
So lots of people are saying that the slideshow ones were hard. It's okay. Send in your answers, right, wrong. Send in your answers. We'd love to see what you guys guessed. And like I said, later on this evening, we'll post. I'll actually put a link on Facebook and YouTube on the event video, so that way you can. That has all the answers to see if you were right.
And they are hard. I know that you could really spend a lot longer looking at those images and trying to puzzle them out. So don't be daunted by that. I'm hoping the written ones are a little more approachable. But, of course, I don't want to give you a slideshow where you're like, everybody knows the answers. That's no fun, because when you actually see the answers, you'll be like, yeah, that's what it is. Or you'll be like, that is impossible. We hate Ellery. Okay. just send me some DMs. Okay. So we're going to start with number 1. So you can just put this under a separate section on your email. So the first section was a slideshow. Second section is literary lovebirds. Okay, number 1. Which rakish character said you should be kissed and often and by someone who knows how? And my hint for this is Southern setting. And a rather dashing mustache. I'll repeat that once more. Which rakish character said you should be kissed and often and by someone who knows how? Okay, let's go on to 2. In A Discovery of Witches, a vampire named Matthew falls for a witch named blank. What is the witch's name, the main character in A Discovery of Witches? And again, you don't need last names. Okay, 3. This baker was 1/3 of the Hunger Games love triangle. So there were 3 main characters in the Hunger Games. And there was a young lady and 2 young men. This is one of the young men. And he was the baker. That's the one I would have picked because he's the baker. All right, one of my favorites ever. Wesley always says, "As you wish," to this woman. Who is the love of Wesley's life? Okay, number 5. This was the number 1 novel that was released the year I was born. And I don't think I've ever cried so hard after reading a book. She called him a preppy in this 1970s tearjerker. She called him. So who's our main male character from this 1970s tearjerker? Okay, I cried a lot in this next one too. I take it back. Number 6, in Out of Africa, Denise gives Karen a present that adds, quote, "new life to the farm." This is a mean one, I'm admitting it. Do you remember the present that Denise brought Karen? I'll give you a hint in that it was something that a lot of the people on the farm would have never, ever seen before, and it would have seemed pretty magical.
And another hint, there might be one just outside of the frame behind me. Or a modern version of one. Yeah.
Okay. I'm trying to think. Mine's in a cupboard, so for the modern equivalent is in a cupboard. Okay, number 7. I had to have a Gatsby one in here because I am from Long Island, and there's a belief on Long Island that everybody knows which dock is Gatsby's dock. But in fact, there is a dock. So it was like Great Egg in the book, but that's really Great Neck and Little Neck if you're from Long Island. And there are docks on either side of those harbors, and someone does have a light on the end of that dock. So it's pretty cool. Anyway, Jay Gatsby stares at the light at the end of Daisy Buchanan's dock, seeing it as a beacon of his love for her. What color is the light? And even if you have no clue, just think that there are 2 main colors that have to do with sailing for starboard and port, and you got a 50-50 shot here. You guys are behind your screens like, we don't know what sailing colors are. We're in like Montana. Okay, let's go on to 8. In Anne of Green Gables, Anne smashes a slate over Gilbert's head because he teases her about this. Now, of course, Anne gets teased about a lot of things, but she is known for this feature, and there isn't a book cover that doesn't show it clearly. Okay, so that's the best hint I can give you with that one without just giving it away. Okay, pacing good for everybody?
Yeah.
Hopefully? Okay. Okay, 9. Mr. Darcy and Elizabeth Bennet are the famed lovebirds of Pride and Prejudice.
Oh. Nope, go ahead, sorry.
Oh, you're good. What is Darcy's first name? I know, again, that's a tough one. But I swear after tonight, you'll like never forget it, and you can bring that up at parties and you'll really impress people. You'll say, hey, do you know what Darcy's first name is? When everybody argues about which the best Darcy is, you know. And of course, there's really only one best Darcy, but we won't get into that. Okay, so what is Darcy's first name? It's not short. One of my book retreat characters has a name similar to that. All right, no more hints. Got to stop giving you hints. Okay, 10. It's hard to imagine a positive love story that ends with assisted suicide. But this story featuring Louisa and Will pulls it off. And this is really hard. So I'll give you a hint. That part of the author's name is Jojo. Okay, let's go on to 11. This salt-of-the-earth couple had a strong and loving marriage in this autobiographical, big hint, novel set about, forget about the set. I've got a typo there. Autobiographical novel about life on a Kansas prairie. So that's like red pen for me for the typo. So Salt of the Earth couple, Kansas prairie, autobiographical. You got that one.
They made it into they made a musical version of it, and it was probably one of the worst things I've ever seen on stage in like the best possible way.
Really? I've never seen a stage production of that.
It opened in Nashville, toured around the country, and then was never heard from again, with good reason.
It went to obscurity.
Mm-hmm.
That's like there was one of the slideshow with the guy with the sash and the flower, with the letter in his pocket, was also a musical, and I think I'm like my dad and I might be the only people who have ever seen that musical, and I loved it. And like the critics didn't like it, but I could still sing the songs today. But oh well, to each his own. All right. Speaking of musicals, let's go on. In Les Mis, Cosette falls in love with Marius. What is his profession? It's one that seems to get a lot of flack. What's his profession? You have to go to a lot of schooling for it. Okay, let's go on to 13.
12, right?
Oh, you're good.
Oh, 13, yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, this novel, set in coastal North Carolina, is the story about a woman who is about to get married, but cannot get over her feelings for the man she fell in love with as a teenager. Now, having read this clue over just now, I think that probably applies to about 15 of this guy's novels because they're almost all set in coastal North Carolina, and they all have, a lot of them have love stories that starts in the present and then goes back to remember something from the past. So the hint I can give you for this is Ryan Gosling. Let's do that.
Not a bad hint.
I think it was kind of after that movie came out that he was doing like every library poster, right? I was like,
yep.
All right, you know, I preferred the ones with Batman, but that's okay. All right, let's go on to 14. The bromance between these two hobbits in Lord of the Rings should serve as an inspiration for all relationships. And again, those of you who know me know that these are two of my favorite characters ever in my favorite trilogy ever. And they are just the most generous, loyal, loving two characters, so with very hairy feet. I could hang out with them because they like to eat several times a day. So, oh, I see a cattail. I have the same color cattail, but he's staying down here right now. And actually, I'm waiting. Any second, he will jump up whenever I have the video going. He thinks it's a cat game. So if I try to work on this computer, he is right here like, now it's time for my cat video. And I'm like, no, I'm trying to write this scene. And he will put his nose like right here, there, until he gets the cat video, which lasts about 2 minutes. But so guys, and my next novel is like super like disruptive and clunky. It's my cat's fault. That's a new one, right? Blame it on the cat.
Yeah.
All right. Last one for this section. This recent novel is about a young man from an uber-rich Singaporean family who falls in love with an economics professor raised by a single mom. This was also turned into a film, and it's just, the book is super fun, the movie's super fun. I think Netflix is kind of poaching off that right now with this Bling Empire kind of thing, which is crazy. Crazy. Of course I watched it because it's the pandemic. This is the kind of stuff you watch, and you try not to tell anybody about it. So that is it for the 2 sections. Yeah. And if you have questions about the trivia, you can go ahead and throw them out now. If you have questions about my books or things that are coming out, deadlines, what's not coming, what might be coming, this is your chance. I can answer everything for you now.
Yeah, so Renee asked if we could go over 2 questions, so I'm going to do that real quick. She would number 8. So number 8 was, in Anne of Green Gables, Anne smashes a slate over Gilbert's head because he teases her about this. So that was number 8.
Right, and my hint for that was it's, she does get teased about things a lot, especially by Gilbert. But this is something that is kind of her signature thing, and it's very noticeable about her on book covers and in the books. I don't think you could pick up an Anne of Green Gables anything, movie, DVD cover, book cover, without seeing this thing that she gets teased about.
And then she said number 10, so ignore the number on this. This is actually number 10. I just numbered it wrong. So number 10 is, it's hard to imagine a positive love story that ends with assisted suicide. But this story featuring Louisa and Will pulls it off. So that's
right. Yeah, this is, I'm not going to lie to you, this is a really tough one. The author is known traditionally kind of for writing romantic stories. I guess she is classified as a romance author, right? The Mother of Dragons actress played in the movie. And, you know, basically we've got one character who is terminally ill, and the other character's caring for him. And my hint was that one of the author's names was Jojo.
Okay.
And my mom's new cat name.
Yeah. So we do have some crowd questions. Before we get to those, I wanted to mention one of the things that I loved, and I emailed this to you earlier. One of the things that I loved so much about Ink and Shadows is the wide range of books that you mentioned throughout the series. You can really tell that you yourself are a book lover, because there are a lot of cozy mysteries that are set in bookstores, but I don't think that I've ever read one where it felt like the author was so up to date on like new releases. Like you mentioned Alex North's The Whisper Man, which is something that just came out in paperback not that long ago.
Yeah, I love that book.
It's a huge staff favorite hands out the store. You mentioned Zoraida Cordova's Labyrinth Lost. Like you just mentioned so much like really great contemporary stuff that covered such a wide range of genres and release times and stuff. So can you talk a little bit about the process of how you decide kind of what you're going to put in?
Yeah. Well, one of my stipulations is that I don't talk about books unless I've read them. So I am a voracious reader, and I do read across all genres. The one genre I don't read very much of is nonfiction. So I don't include nonfiction books unless I can talk to somebody who I think is kind of an expertise in the field. Like my stepmother is a therapist. So if I'm going to add any books that have any kind of self-help books or therapy books, I will call her and say, hey, are you familiar with this book? Would you recommend it? And I won't put it in unless she says yes. But otherwise, I try to make sure that it's fiction that I am really familiar with. For example, like The Whisper Man, I thought was so unique because it was a thriller that focused on a father-child relationship, which hardly ever happens in any book, let alone a thriller novel. It was a beautiful relationship, and I loved it. And then there was another relationship between that character and his father. So if there was a book that I kind of want to cheerlead and I kind of want to be a book champion for, I will get it in my novel. And of course, I will find excuses to, recommend Dean James to people, because he's a wonderful writer and he's a wonderful human being. So I'm like, well, this is kind of be my platform to spread the word about other books, because I think there is this assumption that cozy readers only read cozy mysteries, and that's really not true. I mean, they do read a lot of cozy mysteries, but they read other things. And I think that I try to find books that have a lot of heart or go along with topics that people commonly struggle with, like grief or a need for hope or a desire for a second chance or relationship struggles. I mean, like these are just all things that come up in all of our lives. And I try to use the books that kind of either helped me or I think would help other people and add them. But they're not shots in the dark, guys. I mean, I would never recommend a book that I haven't already read and cared about. So
we have a couple questions about other series. So Jerry wants to know, are there going to be any more Charmed Pie Shoppe Mysteries?
If I had $1 for every time I get that question, I would be so rich. So I don't have any plans for those right now. I couldn't even tell you when I would be able to write any of those. I don't have the rights back to the first books in this series, and I don't really want to continue that until I own the rights and can re-release them all and then add a new installment. And right now the publisher is not really inclined to give me back the rights. And another thing I tell people is that's actually my series with the lowest sales. So it's the series people ask me about the most, but it sold the worst. So I'm kind of like more motivated to focus on the books that have been successful. As shallow as that seems, it's also kind of practical. So not anytime soon, unfortunately, is the answer to that. Sorry.
And so Barbara also had a similar question about the Books by the Bay series.
Sure.
Any plans
Oh,
to?
are there going to be more?
Yeah.
No, that was complete at book 8. However, I started really missing Olivia, and especially Captain Haviland, who is actually based off the dog, my mom's childhood dog. So she told me so many stories about her dog, that he became really a character in my life and had to be a character in a book. And I've really kind of been missing the two of them. So what I've done is I've brought them into the book retreat mystery world, and they're going to make an appearance in the book that comes out in April. And that may open up to a whole nother road and maybe an entire spinoff that combines the two series. And what happened with that is when I moved from Berkeley to Kensington didn't want to take the Books by the Bay series because it was already so many books in. And they said, we'll take book retreat because you've only written 3 books and then you can write more for us. Bless you. And then you have to write a new series for us, which was fine because I wanted to do the secret book in Scone Society really badly. So as of this point, I can only handle 2 books a year and still have them be really quality books. I mean, really, I would like to have 2 books per year and a half. Just because it does take me a lot longer to write the secret book and Scone Society Mysteries. They're just complex and chock full of stuff, so that they just take longer. When I get to the book retreat mysteries, I'm like, woo, okay, vacation time. No, I mean, but they're a lot easier to write. So for now, it'll just be those 2, but I think I'm going to combine some people from that other Books by the Bay series because I do miss a bunch of those characters as well. So I hope that will warm your heart and you'll be cool with seeing them again in a different setting.
Okay, so Susan wants to know, do you ever get creeped out by your own stories as you're writing them? She says the risk of being burned alive in the secret book in Scone Society sent chills down her spine.
I think that I don't really get creeped out by the stuff that I'm writing. I think that the hardest part for a secret book in Scone for me was researching burns, basically, and burn victims. And I really wanted that to be accurate and authentic because I wanted to respect anyone who's been a burn victim. And I read a couple of books about that, personal stories, and it was really hard. And people ask me all the time, like, why did you want her to be a burn victim? And I think that I wanted to look at this idea of inner beauty and scarring, and that scarring can be inside, outside, stuff like that. But I don't know. I think I'm just weird, and I like creepy stuff a lot. I mean, I love gothic horror shows and books, and I like stuff with vampires, and I like horror. So I don't know. I'm just weird. Wow.
Somebody was just aggressively rubbing on the table.
Yeah, acrobatic cat over there. She's like, I don't like that book. Yeah. I'm a cat person.
He gets fed at 8 every night, and he just sometimes is just like, I cannot wait. Like he still has like 15 minutes to go and is just very impatient. So
you have
Drew,
9 o'clock treat time. So there are going to be 3 of them coming here anytime. They're just like, where? It's like we call it their potato chip time. Like, where's my potato chips?
Yeah. So Joanne just said, did the cat do that? Yeah, the cat just knocked and now the other one has come out. So I'm sure they're going to Some nights they're fine when I do events, and some nights they're just like, hey, look, we're going to misbehave. And tonight seems to be clearly one of those
Yeah, they
misbehaving
just want
evenings.
attention. They're definitely going to get it from me.
Yeah.
This is how
Oh,
I feel about cats.
so Joanne is watching again, which thank you for tuning in,
Thank
Joanne.
you.
I'm gonna do my other big plug. So I actually leads me into I forgot to mention something earlier. So we have just recently started a cozy of the month subscription box at Murder by the Book. So
Yay.
once a month, I will pick out a cozy, something that I've loved. It's going to be like kind of a new release person series. So that way we're not sending people stuff that they might have potentially picked up. So you could definitely sign up for that. But what reminded me of that is so Joanne is watching. If you guys have not checked out her blog and you're a cozy reader or a mystery reader in general, you need to check it out. I'm going to post the link in the comments. She posts these really great new release roundups, which I've used multiple times to kind of figure out what's coming up in the next month so I can pick out what's going to be my next cozy of the month. So I just posted a link. So definitely you want to go check out her website. But she wants to know.
OG cozy blogger. OG.
So she wants to know, do you outline your series?
No, I kind of do things in chunks. Like I'll do 3 chapters and then I'll kind of sit with that and think about where I want to go. I kind of have an idea of the major events that I want in the books, but I'm pretty organic, seat of the pants. I mean, I'm working on book 39 now, so I kind of have this rhythm. Yeah, I know, it's crazy, isn't it? And some days are better than others. It's just, but I kind of have my little writer's block solutions. I've got I do walks, drives, or massages. I can't explain it, but when I get a massage, I'll be there. I'll squish, squish, squish. I'm like, I know what I'm gonna do. It's probably because I don't never relax any other times, and I finally relax and like let my brain go. But so yeah, I know that's kind of weird, but that's how I get out of writer's block.
So Jerry says that she really loves the Secret Book and Scone Society series. She wants to know if you've ever read the Guernsey Literary Potato Peel Pie Society book.
I have. I really like it. I really like that time period for historical fiction in general. I actually can overdo it. I can binge on a lot of novels from that time period and then be like, okay, I gotta take a break from that. But it's an excellent book. I think I've probably put that in bibliotherapy someplace in one of these books, but I can't remember which one.
It's a big favorite at the bookstore too. Obviously Murder by the Book, we're primarily crime fiction, but we just love good books in general, especially historical fiction. Historical mysteries are probably our best-selling section in the store. And so if we just find something like Guernsey that we love, like maybe we don't care if it's necessarily a mystery, we will bring it in and sell it. So you're working on book 39. That's crazy. So how long have you been? Because you also wrote as Jennifer Stanley as well. You did the.
So I've written as Lucy Arlington. That was 3 books, and then and all the J.B. Stanley and Jennifer Stanley stuff. It's all been transferred over to Ellery Adams now. So I was tired of all those different names. It was really confusing readers. So once I got rights back, like if you go to my website, you'll see that all of my books are listed under Ellery Adams, except for the Lucy Arlington. So because that was a co-writing experience, which was really interesting because I started writing that series with a woman my friend who lived right up the street. And then before we finished the first book, she moved to Bermuda. I was like, okay, we're not going to be having those writing coffee sessions anymore. So then it was really much more challenging, but it worked out. And we're still friends. It's a real test of your friendship to write a book with somebody.
So when you're sitting down to work on something, how do you kind of have when you get your idea, do you sort of know which series it's going to work for? Or is there any time where you're like, I'm not really sure which one this idea is going to fit in?
Oh yeah. I mean, they're really separate kind of in my head, and the characters are separate in my head. So like I knew before I started the current Secret Book and Scone Society that I'm working on that I wanted to do something about book binders, like book design from the Art Nouveau period. I collect books also. So I have contemporary books, but I'm fascinated by old books, like 19th century books and like William Morris and all that beautiful design. And there were a couple of really, really talented female book designers. And I thought I would love to get that into a mystery somehow. And then I stumbled across this article that said some of those book designers put codes in their covers. And I was like, oh yeah, I know what I'm going to do with that. And then I've got a parallel story going on there about adoption and fostering and kind of the definition of families. So, and of course, I've got to kill a few people. But these days, I think about kind of the themes before I think about the crimes. So I've been putting the crimes into the themes, whereas the other books, it's kind of the crime is first. Mm-hmm. So they're a little bit different that way.
And I really love how there's this really important sense of found family in this series that, you know, Nora and the other members of the society have like all come together and you know, they're their own family. I think that's really wonderful.
Yeah, and I think that's really, it's just important. And I think it's important that we acknowledge that with anybody who's around us, that the family looks different than a Norman Rockwell painting. So, and we have to recognize that and embrace that, so.
Mm-hmm. So Kendra wants to know, are either of your children interested in writing? She says she knows that Sophie got your creative talent in the kitchen.
Definitely not Sophie. So Troll 2 is leaning toward something with medicine or science. So she'll probably take after her dad. Funnily enough, my son, he's dyslexic. He is actually, he's got some great creative writing ideas. He's kind of not into working on them right now. So, and when they ask me, you know, like, do you guys want us to be a writer? And I'm like, I don't know. maybe I want you to do something more stable. So I don't know. I mean, I am kind of like the freak in my family. Everyone in my family is in business. So they don't know where I came from. And I didn't really get a lot of support for going this direction. And I'm super stubborn. So I just went it anyway. So I've kind of always told my kids, like, you go where your heart leads you. Like, don't do anything for money because you'll never be happy. Like, you have to do what brings you joy. And, you know, that's what my parents were afraid, that I was going to go after this thing that I loved and starve to death. And it's a risk. But so I tell them the same thing. Like, I have you don't have to take after me or not take after me. Just do your thing.
So what drew you to, when you decided that you were going to be a writer, what drew you to Cozy Mysteries? Did you start there or did you do other stuff first and then end up in Cozies?
I think so many writers start off writing children's books, and I'm no exception. So I've got a couple in a drawer. One is about a snow goose. I think they're both Christmas stories. And one is about this poinsettia. So I got really mad because everybody throws out poinsettias after Christmas, and I'm like, they're alive, they're plants. Like, they shouldn't be these disposable decorations. So the poinsettia like travels up to Santa, and you know, I'd be like, hey, we're all getting killed every year. So didn't get published. And I actually was working at Barnes and Noble, and I was just reading tons and tons of Cozy Mysteries when I was working there, because I would just have lunch break and I would read, and then put it back on the shelf. I had a cool boss like that. And I just had read a couple in a row, and I just was kind of like feeling the rhythm of it. And I always read mysteries and stuff. And I just thought, you know, there really isn't anything about this kind of North Carolina pottery, and maybe I'll try writing one. And a part of that was that I had just moved to Richmond with my husband. I didn't know anyone, and he was his first year at a medical practice. I never saw him ever. We had neighbors that would like not come out of their houses. So I was alone all the time when I wasn't at work. And so I basically like created these characters to keep me company. It's pretty pathetic, but it worked out.
So Jerry wants to know, what advice would you give to somebody who wants to get a novel published?
My advice would be, don't quit, and you can get there. I think the difference between people who end up being published and the people who don't isn't necessarily a question of talent. I mean, that is a question, of course, but it's not that someone who got published and somebody who didn't, who had equal talent. How did this one get published? And it's really perseverance, because it can be hard. It can be hard when you're sending your novel into agents and you get rejection after rejection after rejection. It deflates you. And you have to just believe in your work enough to just say, okay, it's gonna go through the ringer one more time, and I'm gonna go again. And you just have to be this dogged, stubborn, I won't quit, because the other people will start quitting and you won't. And eventually you're gonna get there. It takes some people 7 months, it takes some people 7 years. If you've got it in you for the 7 years, then you're gonna do it. Also, be open to critiques from people who know what they're talking about, but not too much, because if you take in too much editorializing, you'll lose your voice and what your novel was really about. Like, your novel is going to be unique because it's yours. Don't let too many people tell you what it is.
Kendra wants to know, are you part of a writers group, and is there support for one another in the cozy community?
I've never been a part of a writers group. And, I think that I've been friends with writers for so long that they're kind of, I can reach out to any number of them anytime and just say, are you guys having issues with this or this? And immediate response. And it's not just the cozy mystery community, which is extremely positive, but just the writing community in general. I've had other professions. I've been a teacher. I've been a bookseller. I've sold cars. I've worked in daycares. I've done tech writing. I have never been in a community with people who are so giving and so sincere as the writing and book world. I feel so lucky to be in it every day, because the people are amazing. Like, I've never met kind of a writer jerk. Okay, one, but like, everybody thinks he's a jerk, so it's okay.
Yeah, there's definitely a handful of them out there, but it's just a handful.
Yeah.
By and large, the community is really great.
Don't be around them at the bar. That's all I have to say, because they get worse.
And the book selling community itself is like that too. Early on in the pandemic, when we were trying to figure out how to get things up and running, like, other booksellers were like, oh, here's some best practices that we found for Zoom. This is how you do this. This is how you do this. So it's really great to see how kind of the book community as a whole kind of really rallies around our own and takes care of each other. Pam wants to know, are there going to be more books in the Secret Bone, I can never say Secret.
I like Secret Bone.
Secret Book and Scone Society series. Are there going to be more books in the series?
It's the Secret Foot and Bones Society Mysteries now. I like that. It's kind of like a body part.
Yeah.
Yes. So I have a contract for 6 books. So I'm working on number 5, and then I'll have 6 after that. And then, publishers often do contracts in sets of 3s. Mm-hmm. So they do 3 books. So like, you sold okay, we'll do 3 more, we'll do 3 more. So that's usually how it goes. And it was the same thing for the book retreat. So I've got contracts up to book 9 in that one. So in July, I'll start book 8. Right.
So does that help, knowing that you're going to have it kind of done in 3? So that way, if you're like trying to tell a story, like, if there's an arc, like, I have 3 books to do this, so that way you're not leaving like cliffhangers or anything?
Yeah, well, the difficulty there is you usually don't know if the series is going to go on until, well, like, I would know if they were not going to renew it after I probably turned in 6. So it's tough. It's like, you don't want to finish every 3 or 6 or 9 with this sense of like, is this the end? Because readers do get upset, and they do question that, like, this feels like an ending. Yeah. So, for whatever reason, the last book retreat I wrote, people thought, so if this is the end, and I'm on Goodreads, like, no, it's not the end, which is nice, because there are so many outlets for you to be able to say, like, it's not over. But, and that wasn't even intentional. I just, for whatever reason, they thought the ending was the ending. But I'm hoping that this series will go on longer than the 6.
Kendra wants to know, is the market improving for cozy mysteries? It seems like some publishers were getting out of the business for a while.
Well, yeah, there were 2 publishers, and I think that was really like the format, the mass markets for cozies. They were kind of saying, oh, let's move on to hardcovers and to this and to that. And I think what they realized was that, people want that mid-level price range. And so they started buying them again. I definitely think actually now that there's a glut of cozy mysteries, and I'm trying to say this tactfully, there's a quality issue with a lot of the cozies that are out there. So I think that there are readers now that are primarily reading books that are 99 cents or free, and they don't want to read anything else. And the more that gains traction, the less that, kind of like the more literary or edgy or cozy that has some heft, or, a cozy that costs $7.99, I still think is super reasonable for 6 months of our lives, right?
Yeah.
Even if you only read it in 3 hours. So to me, like, the market is getting flooded with these kind of lower priced, not as dense thematically or with complex plots or stuff like that, where it's just long strings of dialogue, page after page after page, which are fairly simplistic. And that's fine if that's what people want. I just don't want that to become what the cozy genre is, because the cozy genre is a lot more than that. So I'm hoping that that's not a trend that kind of grows any more than it already has.
Yeah, it's been nice to see publishers kind of get back into them again, like you said, for a while that they were kind of going, and it's nice to see that more people are starting to get back in the game. It's also been really nice in the last couple of years. We've seen that, like, a lot of younger readers are starting to come to the genre, which has really helped. And especially with kind of everything going on in the world, people have been trying to find something that's a little bit lighter. And so it's been really great to see people kind of turn to cozies.
It can be retreat reading, and you have to have retreat reading. I mean, you can't, personally, I don't, if I read something heavy, I like a palate cleanser after that. I like something more hard, I'll read like an Alexander McCall Smith after I read a Brit Bennett, for example. I can't do 10 books like that and Just Mercies in a row. I just can't handle it. So I'll do like a McCall Smith in between or something. So
they're definitely my, if I've just finished something that's amazing and I don't know what I want to start next, or if I'm just in a rut, it's always like, oh, let me go to the shelf and see what cozy is out there, because they're just, like you said, they're really good palate cleansers, and they're really good, like, you finish it and you have this happy feeling, and they kind of like restart that reading thing. So going with that,
it's familiar. Like, sometimes you want to visit with those familiar characters, because it's like going into a cafe and sitting down with friends, and sometimes you really need that.
Yeah. So we've got just a couple more minutes before we head out this evening. So I know you have just released this book that has like tons of really great recommendations in it, but what is something that you have read lately that you just loved?
Oh boy. I actually just finished, I'm looking at my list right now, but I have a crush on Harry Bosch from the Michael Connelly series. And it took me a little bit longer to warm up to the Lincoln lawyer character, his half-brother. But I honestly, if you guys have not read Michael Connelly, he is one of the best crime writers, police procedural writers out there, if not the best. I love his books. He's an auto buy for me. As soon as they come out, boom. So I just finished his new one last night, and it was 5 of 5 stars. And I don't give those easily. So I really loved that. And then right before that, I read Just Mercy, which I was late to the game on that one. My son's reading it for school, and I said, I really need to read that. So I just picked up his copy, and 2 nights and a lot of tissues later, I finished it. And it was really powerful. So I needed something that was kind of a little bit lighter in between there. And my mom gave me this kind of gothic suspense novel for Christmas called The Animals of Lockwood Manor. And this is a mix of like Wilkie Collins meets Jane Eyre meets Diane Setterfield meets Kate Morton. And the woman who wrote it is very young. I looked at her cover on the back and I was like, dang, girl, you go. So I just finished that one yesterday too. So today I'm starting the Paris Library and something else. Oh, the new Kristen Hanna. So see, I'm all over the place with genres. It's just like, I'll pick at a book and I'll be like, it's not the one I want today. I'll pick something else and I'll be like, we'll go for this one.
My coworker Brenda really loved The Animals at Lockwood Manor too. And also had to say, as we were talking about authors, like not only are Michael Connelly's books good, he is like the nicest guy. Like he's been so supportive of Murder by the Book and independent bookstores and booksellers and other authors in general. He's just like they just don't get nicer than Mike Connelly.
Yeah, I've had a crush on him forever. I don't think I could actually meet him in person and speak. I think I would just be like, blah, 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 blah. And I don't feel that way about any other author. I mean, I think I could like handle myself, but I would just die if I met him for real.
We all have those moments. McKenna, the store owner, she would die if she met him as R.L. Stein, and she got to meet him at like Thriller Fest one year.
Oh, really? I love that story.
She like bumped into him and she said it was just like this like flow of like verbal diarrhea where she's like, oh my God, R.L. Stein, I love you so much. She's like, I've read every Goosebumps book and I own a mystery bookstore because I read your books. Oh my gosh. And then she said she just had to like walk away because she's like, oh my God, I just made a complete fool of myself.
Yeah. So who would yours be?
So it's tricky because I get to meet authors all the time. I got to meet Alice Walker at a book signing before I started working at Murder by the Book. And like The Color Purple is like for me, like that one and The Temple of My Familiar and Possessing the Secret of Joy, like all of those books that have like Celie and Nettie in it are just like the best thing ever. Like I held it together until like I got to the table and got to have my picture taken with her and talk to her. I don't even remember what I said, but like as soon as I walked away, I like ran to the bathroom and just started sobbing because I had held it all in. And I was just like,
I have goosebumps right now.
My husband was like, are you okay? I'm like, no, I'm not. I got it because I got to the bathroom.
Yeah, because you want to go up to those people and say something that they're like, you speak and it's like poetry, but you don't. You talk and you're like, I'm an idiot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you were probably fine. Yeah. I'd be an idiot. You'd probably be fine.
Like I held it together till I walked away from the table and it was like straight shot to the bathroom.
I love that.
So before we head out tonight, I just wanted to mention a couple of other things that we've got coming up at the store. So virtual events later this week. I wanted to mention too, as we said, I think maybe before we went live, we've done so many events with Murder by the Book virtually. So if you guys have not checked out the YouTube channel, please make sure you do that because there are tons and tons of author events on there.
You'll never be bored again.
This last Saturday, we did a panel with 5 Texas Cozy authors. So that's up Thursday night, the 11th. I'm going to be talking with Dorothy St. James and Olivia Black about their new cozies. And then on Friday the 12th, I'm super excited. We're going to be talking with Valerie Wilson Wesley and Angela M. Sanders about theirs. Thursdays is going to be kind of talking about kind of technology and cozies because both of those books deal with that. And then Friday night, both of their books have some to it. So we'll be talking about kind of paranormal cozies. And then on the 23rd of February, we're going to be trying a kind of hybrid in-store virtual thing. Joanne Fluke is going to be in town. It's not going to be a public event. I'm going to interview her in the bookstore, and then she is going to sign some and personalize some books for us. So definitely please check out those cozy events that we've got coming up. If you missed any of the trivia questions this evening, I've been posting them all in the comments as Ellery was reading them. So you can go back through and read if you missed any of those. Again, the email address is elleryadamsauthor@gmail.com to get those sent in. She'll pick 2 winners.
Some have coming in already, so good job,
Great.
guys.
So she'll pick 2 winners. Each winner will get a copy of Ink and Shadows with a signed book plate and one of our tote bags. We have the Holmes and Watson Marple of Poirot. And then we also have the Everything I Learned, Everything I Know I Learned from Nancy Drew.
I love that one.
We've got copies of Ink and Shadows in store, and as she mentioned, we also have signed book plates that she sent us. We also have the other series and the other books. So if you guys have not picked the new one up and want to start with the first one, we can definitely help you there. The store is open for browsing. We've been open since October, so if you need to come in and physically get your fix, come visit us. We're limiting it to 6 people in the store at a time, just so we can keep social distancing. The store's not that big, which hasn't been an issue. We just say if you pull up and the parking lot's full, maybe just poke your head in and see where we're at capacity-wise, and we'll let you know if you can come in or if you need to wait a few minutes. We also understand that not everybody is comfortable getting out and about, so if you we ship all over the country, all over the world. We also are doing curbside pickup, so you can do that as well. So lots of people saying that you love the Nancy Drew tote. We do have them for sale at the website too, so if you do not want a Nancy Drew tote and you still want one, you can visit us at murderbooks.com and you will be able to pick one of those up as well. Ellery, thank you so much for doing this tonight. This was so much fun.
Thank you for letting me be silly.
Oh, sure. And as I also mentioned to everybody, we will post the trivia answers, like half an hour, just so people have time to kind of read through them and all that. I'll post a link, so that way I'm not just posting the answers, I'll post a link. So if you don't want to know all the answers immediately, you won't get spoiled, just be able to go back and do that. So Ellery, have a good evening. Hopefully we will be able to do this actually in the store at some point in the not too distant future.
I'll be there in person for book 5.
Awesome. So everybody yeah, definitely. So everybody have a good evening, and we'll see you soon. Take care.